Hello, and welcome to my home. Today I am bringing more speed cleaning and DIY motivation, as well as tackling two major negative mindsets that attack us as we try to keep a positive attitude. I'm starting as I often do in the morning, which is with making up my bed and tidying up my bedroom. This makes me feel very accomplished and really sets my morning right. But I wanted to share with you about yesterday. I was feeling very down and negative yesterday, and I thought, you know what? I bet I'm not alone. I bet I'm not the only person that struggles with these two very negative mindsets. The first negative mindset I was having yesterday was nothing ever goes right. Have you ever felt that way? Let me tell you a little story. So most of you know I have new kitchen cabinets and we're waiting for our countertops, and I've never had kitchen cabinets in 30 years of being married, and this is the first time, so it's been very exciting. However, we had a little problem, and this is why you're seeing us move to the kitchen and begin cleaning up and DIYing in the kitchen. The place we ordered our cabinets from, it was Lowe's, actually ordered two cabinets incorrectly. Two of my cabinets were 3 inches smaller than they were supposed to be. Unfortunately, we didn't find this out until they were being installed, and when the installer called Lowe's, they said it was purposeful in case I ever needed a bigger refrigerator. This completely took me off guard because it's true. I might actually need a bigger refrigerator because I have a large family and my fridge isn't that big. So I was faced with a problem. The person installing was saying he would not be able to come back out for a couple months if we decided to switch out the two cabinets that were wrong, which would also set off my countertop, which would also set off having my sink installed. So let me remind you that we have 8 people living in this house right now. We had to come up with a quick decision because we had the installer standing in our kitchen as we were being faced with this decision. I kind of felt like it was one of those HGTV shows where they're calling the homeowner and telling them about all these problems that are coming up. Our installing contractor, which was a really great guy, decided to come up with the layout and to show us what it would look like if he used the cabinets, the two cabinets that were both 3 inches shy. We made the decision to go on ahead with the installation, but here's the problem. Moving everything over 3 inches on the top and bottom started 2 additional problems. The first one is on the top. That meant that my cabinets didn't line up with my paint lines. And the second problem was on the bottom. That meant that when I moved the dishwasher over 3 inches, my flooring didn't match up. So here I am right now in my kitchen, and you can see the paint tape is up, and I did not want to paint around brand new cabinets, but there it is up, and I'm trying to patch it. Well, the original painting was done after the original cabinets went up, so there is actually a line on the sheetrock that's making it very hard to paint without that line showing. And on the floor, there's a place on the wall where there's actually a hole that was behind the dishwasher that we're patching up, and we'll have to deal with flooring later on, which doesn't completely break my heart because I would like new flooring, but it's going to take some time to save up. Patching up the paint was actually the part that really discouraged me because I want the wall to look smooth. I don't want there to be any lines, which you definitely can't see on camera. But this spot you see me working at right now was the worst one, and I spent a good deal of time and then ended up spackling over the whole thing to make it even, and now I need to sand. So as you can see, I'm just discouraged. Here's what I came to. I need to do the best I can with what I have and let it be. And then I need to practice thankfulness. I had to stop those thoughts in their tracks, which took me a whole day. And I had to consider going back to keeping a thankfulness journal. I actually even watched a couple of TED Talks on how to have a strong mind and how not to be discouraged. As a person of faith, I know how important thankfulness is, but honestly, it is always good to be reminded. As a lot of you probably already know, I keep morning pages, which is a journaling system, and I have a video on that if you're interested to know more that I will link in the description box below. Rather than starting a new thankfulness journal, I'm adding the thankfulness to my morning pages. Here's the part I want to share with you if you're considering a thankfulness journal. Before you start, decide that first, when you run out of things to write, you'll just spend time reading over what you already wrote rather than beating yourself up that you can't think of anything additional. Or you can write the same ideas that perhaps you had the day before just to instill them more in your mind. And two, when you stop the habit, and start to feel guilty because you set it down, just decide whether or not you want to pick it back up or whether writing it down was a season that you needed and that season is over. If you want to pick it back up, my advice is start back as though there was no gap. So often what we do is we feel guilty and we beat ourselves up that we weren't able to continue this perfect habit. And so it kind of defeats the purpose of having it in the first place. Back to my story, I had to refocus my mind on what I had to be thankful for. I'm thankful for these beautiful cabinets. I'm thankful that we were able to spend the money to get these beautiful cabinets. I had to refocus my mind on all the things we have, our good health, that my husband still has a job. There's so many areas that I have so much to be thankful for that I needed to reset my mind and remind myself of those things again. It is simply not true that nothing ever goes right. You notice how in my mind I was using these very large, very permanent words that took one tough situation and made it as though this is how everything goes. It's just simply not true, and I needed to reset my mind and be thankful for all that we have. The second negative mindset that I was struggling with is the idea that no one ever does anything around here. If I'm in the right mood, all it takes is a couple of people rolling their eyes when I ask them to do something to send me down that rabbit hole. And one thing I've learned as I've listened to different people on YouTube is that when we have a negative mindset, our brain becomes a detective to prove us correct. That's why it's so important to be fighting these negative mindsets, because we get our brain active in proving that we're correct, and we're just going to become more and more negative and more depressed and more angry and more bitter. Have you ever seen something left on the floor and decided to leave it there and to see how long it would take anyone to pick it up? I've done that. And did it work out well for you and make you feel so much better? Yeah, me neither. In these moments where I feel like no one ever does anything, usually it's because I'm super tired and I need to take time off, but I don't want to watch things not get done. So here's what I have to do in those moments. First of all, I have to decide, what are my priorities? What actually has to be done? In this particular moment on this video, I just got done separating out the clothes that came out of the dryer so that everyone could put their own laundry away. And my husband went to the grocery store for me, and I realized I needed to do a quick clean out of the refrigerator so that we would have room to put the groceries. So sometimes things just need to be organized, and sometimes things need to be thrown out that have expired. So that's what I'm working on right now. But I found it so important to have my majors. What are the major things that I need to get done? And then I can focus my limited energy on those things, and I can ask for help. As far as the rolling eyes and even complaining goes when you ask for help, I'm just going to give you this small encouragement that I learned in a book that I read, that oftentimes the rolling eyes and even the complaining, it's that person's brain saying, okay, I wanted to do one thing, she's asking me to do something else, I'm planning to do it, but I'm not too happy about it, but I am going to do it. That discouraging complaining that you're hearing is really that person's brain coming around to where it was to where it now has to go. And you have to kind of plug your ears and keep a blind eye to that. When I'm completely at the end of myself, I will first, as I said, What is the priority? What are the things that I absolutely need to be done? And then, secondly, I often pray that God would send me the help that I need. I also need to be remembering to be praying for my family members that they would even have the desire to help around the house. I wanted to read to you what I read in my devotional this morning, and I find it so amazing that so often that one word I need to hear will be in my devotional time. This is from YouVersion, and the devotional is called It's Time to Reset, a 7-day devotional. And I'd like to thank one of my subscribers, Cheryl, for inviting me to do this particular devotional. Day 6 says this: At times we spend so much time discouraged or complaining and gossiping about the wrong in people or how far they are from God instead of simply praying for them. Prayer changes things, but it also changes people. If you desire to see change in your loved ones or even in your boss, maybe you need to put a lot more time praying for them. Prayer changed us, so it can truly change another person. You are here because of the prayers of another. There is power in consistent prayer. It later says, maybe one of the greatest blessings you'll receive from praying for someone consistently is seeing God redeem and transform them. It truly does grow your faith. You may not see an immediate result, but it doesn't mean you stop praying. The prayers don't have to be deep, just earnest. Praying for others deals with selfishness. It's not always about you. It can also be about someone else. I would love for you to share in the comment section below if you've ever dealt with these two negative mindsets. The one that is nothing ever goes right, or the one that is no one ever does anything around here. I would love to know how you deal with it in your life. You'll see a video in the upper right-hand corner, Fighting Anxiety Through Cleaning, that I think also might be a help to you. Remember, as always, that God loves you and I love you too, and I can't wait to see you next time.